Hello. So lately I've been in a lot of Zoom calls, and a lot of the time I'm either the host or I'm not the host. But it's always with like a big group of people, and a lot of the time not everyone knows each other or they're not too familiar with each other, and it's kind of a different. It's not the kind of place people are used to talking or the kind of format people are used to talking, because you can usually, if you're in a big group in person, you can just talk and talk, and then when you're kind of in a awkward zone, you can kind of like split off and you can talk to the people you want to talk to specifically or whatever individually, which is awesome. But occasionally, especially if I'm the host, I'll notice that it gets a little bit awkward at times. If I'm the host and I notice it, then I'm like, oh well, I'm the one that knows everyone, so I need to kind of fix this, I guess, as I feel like it's my duty to fix it as host. So I kind of set up a three-step plan if it starts getting awkward. Just a three questions kind of thing that are really easy to come up with always works for me. So the first question is always as simple as possible, especially if you're trying to keep the conversation light, because politics really heavy. I don't know how, but people always manage to fall into talking about politics or corona, and you want to like avoid that in a Zoom call. I think at the moment, personally, I want to avoid it because I don't want to be talking about the same conversation over and over and over again. Step one, yeah, easy, simple question, light-hearted question, and it's always a yes or no question. So I'll be like, for instance, do you like sushi? Who likes sushi? And then you'll just be like, yes or no. And if that doesn't like immediately spark conversation, and it usually works because people are usually like, you don't need to go to step two past there, because people will already be like, oh, sushi, and then they'll want to like talk over you, because people always do that in Zoom. They're like, you won't even finish the question, they're already like on top of you, and it's just like, okay, you do you, and then you can kind of like chill out and with the fact that there's conversation flowing. If there is just like an answer like to your question, your really simple question, then you'll just be like, okay, you ask a question that is kind of time related, so related to the first question, but now in the context of time. So so if I said, do you guys like sushi? And they say, yeah, I was like, oh, well, when's the last time you had sushi? And that can be like, you're thinking about, because it'll trigger a memory. You're kind of thinking, when's the last time you had sushi? And then they might start thinking about the context of which they ate the sushi, and you can kind of just start a conversation from there. If that doesn't work, and it normally does, you resort to, no matter what the context, just resort to like, what did you have for dinner last night? And you'll because either they've had dinner or they haven't. If they haven't had dinner, you'll just be like, oh, why not? If they have had dinner, you say, what did you have? Like, that's good. It's easy, and then if you're in the big group, then you can just go, what did you have for dinner? 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 And then everyone's talking about something, and they're talking about food, and food is just an easy, relatable topic that's light-hearted, usually, unless you got one of those people that love to just like shoot you with trauma. But yeah, so I was in this really awkward situation, and I was as with a few people that I'm unfamiliar with, and I just kind of, it came to like a very sudden halt, and there was like this kind of 20 seconds of awkward silence, and I was just like, oh no, what do I do? And so I was just like, oh, I'm gonna do the theory, and I was just like, I like to ask a question in my yes or no question that is like, actually I already know, it's one of those things that I already know the answer to. So I'll be like, I was like, does can anyone remember their birth? And I asked that because I know that the definite answer is no. No one can remember their birth. I don't care who, like, there's always someone that says that they can, but you can't. It's actually not possible. So the only way that this can go is people like will laugh because it's kind of like a random question to ask. It's a stupid question to ask. Like it's not a stupid question to ask if you're actually asking, but it's just kind of like stupid in a funny way. A silly question to ask. And three, you can weed out the people that are like attention seekers and whatever. I know it's not, you don't usually need to weed out those kind of people, but like, because they do it themselves. But the moment that someone says yes, you'll just be like, oh yeah, do go on. And you can let that like sociopathic side of you just fly out. You can be like, you can choose to argue, you can choose to banter, you can like, but it usually turns into like an everyone against the one situation, and you also like know not to associate. No, I'm kidding. But like, you don't need to you don't need to talk anymore. You can just like let them run wild with their like fantasy fiction story about how they remember that they were born, and whether you believe it or not, it's very entertaining always. So what I also think like if I ask like a question that's really simple and you know the answer to, it's an easy trade off to be like to trade off intelligence. So people will start like assuming you're a bit less intelligent, but you've just started a really light-hearted conversation, so it's like easy trade-off. Because like if someone underestimates your intelligence, that can only it can't lead to too much damage. Like you can't lose intelligence because someone else thinks that you're unintelligent. It doesn't work that way. Um, and if they're the kind of people that are gonna like put you down for your intelligence, and you're like, easy red flag, like get out of that quick. So the next question I asked, because that like naturally I was in a group with people who were very intellectual. They were all like, no, and they were like, I'm pretty sure that you can't, and I was like, yes, correct answer. In my head, I'm like, correct answer. So I moved on, and I was like, well, what's the earliest memory that you have? I was trying to think of the earliest memory that I have. What's the earliest one that you have? And that was easy conversation, easy, interesting conversation, because it sparked memories, and it related to something. Everyone has like really funny childhood stories all the time. So it was like a really easy flow conversation. Anyone can like, and it's always different. No matter who you're talking to, you're not going to get the same case. Like if you're talking corona or politics, you're hearing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's just different people's point of views. It's like a multiple choice when I'm talking about politics or corona. It's like either they're for or against, whatever. If I'm talking about childhood memories, there's a vast array of difference. I'm not interested in many political sided conversations, only because I find like it's multiple choice. It's important and interesting to me to know for other people politics, but if I want a conversation, I want to pick something fun. Um, so yeah, you've got like you can also like lay back and relax, because people can talk for hours. I mean, look at me, I'm talking for hours, minutes and minutes. And people love to talk about themselves. And you can just like sit back and listen, and you can engage or actively engage however you want. You won't. There's no more pressure, because it's an easy flow conversation and something easy to talk about. And if that doesn't work, because what I find funny, if that doesn't work, because you've literally asked a question and it's not even like a what's your earliest memory. It's like you can pick from any memory. You can pick from any memory that you've ever had in your childhood. If they can't pick one, then you are going to resort to, I am going to resort to like, what did you have for dinner last night? And it's a really awkward thing to go through, because I'll be like, what did you have for dinner last night? And then they'll answer, and I'll go, okay, what did you have for dinner last night? And I'll obviously not move on if I have some comment to make about it. So if they haven't had dinner, I'll be like, oh, why didn't you have dinner? Or blah, 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 like I'm not socially inept. But yeah, you can just like move on around the circle, and it's not on you. You just gave them the most easy conversation topic, and then they failed on that. Then the rest, it's not even on you. If this is a little bit awkward to go around, then that's not your problem. That's like the group dynamic problem, or it's just not you. It's not a you problem. Yeah, so you'll go out. You like don't be too hard on yourself. You find it awkward, and then they'll be in no position to judge. you can just like relieve yourself of the pressure, because if conversation doesn't work there, just like chill, enjoy the silence. Awkward silence isn't always bad anyway. I'm just saying, if there is an awkward silence, this is a way you can deal with it. If you're struggling with conversation with someone, these are some questions, or this is a formula that you can use in conversation if you're the kind who likes to test out formulas in conversation. I don't usually. I feel I'm quite charismatic most of the time. If I'm with someone I'm comfortable with, at least, I'm very shy when it comes to new people. But this format is an easy one to fall back on if you don't want to feel you've failed in conversation. It's very clinical, but clinical works for some people. There don't you can't really be judgmental of the fact that I've come up with this kind of theory or formula. It's important. Anyway, I hope that helps, and I hope that you enjoyed listening to that. Bye. Thank you.